name is Ray Kupikowski, and I'm a Universal Channel. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the term Universal Channel. As a matter of fact, it came up in one of my sessions when I admitted to somebody that that is, in fact, what I am. I'm a Universal Channel. So I went home that day to check it out to find out what that meant, and I Googled Universal Channel, and apparently I'm a TV station in Australia or Austria. It could be Austria, I'm not really sure. But anyway, I'm some kind of TV station. The information that I'm going to impart to you in questions and in these questions and answer periods is completely channeled. I don't have a clue of what it is that I'm about to say. It's just something that comes through me. So we're going to share a really interesting connection, me and you, in the fact that when I'm about to answer a question, neither one of us knows what's about to come out of my mouth. So I hope you find it interesting. I do know that quite often what comes out is a different take on any or a bunch of different subjects. Now, for the most part, we're going to be talking about relationships, but those relationships could be anything, relationships at work or with your family or, with yourself, anything at all. There's going to be something connected to all the relationships that you can experience. Each one of the episodes is going to have a different topic, and I'm going to be talking about the topic and with my understanding of what the topic is about, and then I'm going to answer a few questions. So hopefully in the near future, we're going to be able to set it up so that you guys can call in and ask questions directly, and I'll be able to answer them in real time. And right now, we're just developing Hey Ray Q&A, so be a little bit patient with us. I hope you enjoy. I hope you keep checking things out. Tell all your friends about it, and I honor my deepest connection to you all. You guys have a wonderful day, and thanks for listening. Drum roll, please. So welcome, and today's episode is going to be about daddy issues. Now, before I get into this, I want to tell you that I decided a while ago that I was going to rely exclusively on my connection. As a Universal Channel, I was not going to try and be, to know what was going on or to have some type of script. I just wanted to really do this off the cuff as much as I possibly can and just rely on the fact that I have this information that's going to come out and trust that it will. This issue is going to be called Daddy Issues, and I have a girl that works with me, and she comes up with these things, and she comes up with the ideas, and she also, right now, she finds questions that are out there that people have asked other people. We don't have questions coming in for ourselves right now, but I'm hoping that eventually we're going to be able to do this in real time, and people can call up once you find out, what I do and how my information comes out. Hopefully you'll give us a call, and you can do that anonymously, and I'll do the best I can to be able to give you universal information, is all I can call it. I think you'll be able to notice that as time goes on, some of these questions get answered, because I'm not going to do, generally speaking, the answers are not done in the typical way. Okay, so what happened here is that this is going to be really interesting for me, because daddy issues, I don't have much of a connection to it personally. I was adopted, and my situation with my dad is that he was a really nice guy. He was a really nice guy, and he was not particularly intelligent or anything, or not that I knew anyway. And I guess the best way to explain that is that once they adopted me, my mother was sick and she had diabetes, and they actually adopted me because she had lost a child in childbirth. She had lost a little girl, and she was really sort of losing her mind. So I guess, when a puppy dies, you get another puppy. And so I was the new puppy, and it didn't really work. My mother she was sicker and sicker. She had diabetes, she went blind, and there was a lot of problems that she had, and my dad had to take care of everything. He was a great guy, he had a big heart and stuff like that, but they adopted a puppy that was nuts. All right, so I was in show business at a very early age. At 9 years old, I did La Boheme at 9 years old, and I was the youngest person to sing for the Lyric Opera Company. And I'll tell you about my life, maybe sporadically through this whole thing, but we're talking about dads, and I'm talking about a guy who was doing everything in the world to take care of his wife, and he loved her. He was really very wonderful with that, But he didn't know how to handle a kid in show business. He thought he was doing the right thing by signing contracts and by getting me. They had my music teachers and everybody around. Was doing everything just because I was talented. They knew the situation. I don't think my parents paid for anything. I was just getting everything handed to me because people really believed that I had something and I was something special. Well, I certainly was something special, but not in a particularly good way. I was really nuts, and I was very, very needy and very difficult, and really, the poor man my dad was really out of his comfort zone the whole time. Never understood how to connect with me, and every time that he tried, I made sure that it didn't work out. I beat everybody up around me. So for me to say, what is it supposed to be? What are you supposed to be like? That type of relationship between you and your dad, or being a dad and my kids. And I can honestly say that it's an area there that I probably avoided throughout most of my life because, I really needed to have some type of connection with a mom, and I sort of didn't care too much about my connection with my dad. It was just non-existent. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of the way it was with my boys. That I was a dad, and I had no concept of how to be a dad. Well, today I understand that a little bit differently. Today, after working with people and understanding the power of being connected, understanding the power of being a dad and a mom in any particular situation, and how you're supposed to handle that as a unit, I can understand that being a unit would really affect how a father would be able to connect with a daughter or with a son. I understand that the depth of importance that you would have in accepting the responsibility of being a father, that it would be very, very important for you to understand how to listen to your kids and how to connect with them, and how to be somebody that provided them with guidance and to understand, to be ahead of the game, and to be able to understand what a person's likely to need based on your own experience. And normal people's experiences, going to school and going to college and learning how to have boyfriends and girlfriends, and dads are supposed to be able to help them and guide them and all that stuff. I had none of that, none of it at all. And so I really didn't have much experience. I handled things when it happened, and my boys had a rough time, I think, with life because I just couldn't get ahead of the game. I didn't know how to do it, and how to connect with them. So if they're watching, I'm sorry, guys. I certainly would have done it if I had known. I couldn't have been close to my dad. It wouldn't work out. I found out years later, when actually in my 40s, I found out that my mother, I'd met my mother, and I found out that basically that it was a terrible story. She hated me. She tried to kill me and all this stuff. It really did affect my connection with my mother and father and all that stuff. And I sort of glommed the two of them together. I sort of think that parents are parents, and having a connection with a father is that it would be separate from a mother. I don't see that. I see them as mother and father as being a team that's supposed to work together and help you grow and help you be connected and help you live life, and being able to talk to you and see what you're going through and have a positive influence rather than just telling you exactly what to do and being done with it. I think that that's hard. I think that it's difficult to understand that what you're supposed to be doing, although you don't want to be friends with your kids, and people tell you that all the time, you're supposed to be a parent, I think that you do need to be friends as well. I think you do need to be able, to look at your kids and recognize them as little human beings, as tiny little, potential adults, and to be able to talk to them and say things like, how are you today, and what's bothering you today, and you can tell me about your fears, and maybe we can figure them out together. Maybe I don't have all the answers, but I'm definitely here for you, and I want you to have a safe space to talk to me and to be able to communicate with me. I'd like to have that. I think that that's important. I think that people that have daddy issues, they will bring that disconnect to other issues in their life. They will recognize that with both of their parents, and mothers not so much, because mothers are a lot more present and everything, but dads are sort of disconnected. Dads are sort of like running around taking care of work and bringing money home and sitting home and drinking a beer and watching television and that type of thing. And I don't know that people ever get the love, and if you did, I'm really happy for you. But I think that most people even don't recognize what that love is when it's happening and when they're actually connected with their life on a daily basis. You just sort of think that that's whatever it was, that's the way it's supposed to be. If you have a great father and they're there and they're present in your life, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. If you're in a family that there's no connection whatsoever, well, that's the way it's supposed to be, because how are you supposed to know any different? It's the same thing as with being in an abusive family. People that are physically and emotionally abusive. As children, we think that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's how we react to everything. Unfortunately, that's also the way that we take those kinds of things to our own families and to our kids and to our partners and all that stuff. So anyway, I just feel I feel like a lot of people talk about having daddy issues in the terms of how being disconnected, always wanting to feel connected to a father, contributes to an inability to be connected to anyone else. It takes your time away from being in this moment, because you're still looking for some kind of acceptance. You're still looking for somebody to guide you and all that stuff. I think that it's interesting because daddy issues sort of permeate a lot of relationships. People bring it with them rather than being able to recognize or finding out that somebody somewhere down the line should have told you that you have to set that aside. If you don't have the connection, you have to be your own father. If you don't have that connection, you have to be your own mother. You're going to have to do that at some point in order to be able to grow up and be able to take care of your relationships in a healthy manner. Being able to say, how do I want to have it? I didn't have it with with my dad, so I want to have this with my children, or I want to have this connection with my partner. I want to be able to do that, and to be able to recognize that you didn't get it from a parent, or that you did get it from a parent, will sort of help you recognize and understand that those experiences that you had at that time are nothing more than ways to guide you as far as what you need to do for yourself today. Okay? So, not having a father in your life could be really rough. But what can you get out of the fact that you didn't have a father in your life? How will that affect you, and how can you learn from that? Because what it is a lesson. What it is not having a father, or having a good father, or having a negative experience. Those are all lessons as far as you being able to live your life today. This is not anything that you hold on to. You don't say, my dad hit me and all that stuff, so I'm going to be upset about that for the rest of my life until I can get revenge or something like that. No, you look at that situation and you say, my dad hit me, so what were the reasons for that? You could say, my dad hit me because I was bad. Or you could say, my dad hit me because he had problems, because he didn't understand a better way of dealing with situations, because he didn't have communication skills, because he didn't have a good love in his family and all that stuff. When you look at it that way, you can say to yourself, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to understand those things, and then I'm going to act in a different way. I want to act in accordance with what I decide I want in my life. If I want to be a really good father, I'm going to take everything that I know about being a father in every situation that I've ever been around, and I'm going to apply everything that I can, one way or another, into the new situation that I'm involved with, that I'm taking care of, that's my responsibility. Okay? So that's what channeling is about. I have no idea what it is that I just got done saying to you. It came out, it flowed, and universal channel, what can I tell you here? All right. So anyway, I hope that helped out. I can't wait to hear what I said. But now I'm going to, I want to go into a couple questions here, and I'm going to see how well I do, okay? So hang on a second, and I'll be right back to you. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if you can tell that I'm back, if it was, because it looks like it's continuous. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to get into the Q&A part of this episode. And remember, it's about dads and stuff. And so I've been trying to stay away from reading the questions ahead of time so that I can just sort of, be spontaneous as much as possible. I did take a quick look at these, to be honest with you. I took a look at a couple of them and to find out what, basic, what kind of direction they were going to take, okay? So the one question, first question is a heartbreaker. My father left when I was 4, and my mom never remarried. There's never been a male presence. I'm scared of what I do remember about my dad. How can I ease my fear of men? Well, there's a bunch of different things that are happening here, and I'm sorry about the loss of your father and the fact that he wasn't around. I was wondering if there were uncles and if there were people around you that were male, and what effect that they could have had on you. It seems to me that my connection is telling me that you really did manage to hold off in every area of your life, every aspect of your life, and you dealt with those aspects of your life with your mother, and you were able to connect with her, and she did satisfy an awful lot of your needs growing up as a young woman. I would say the one thing that seems to be missing right now is a connection with yourself and your own strength and your power as a woman, being strong. And I'm not sure that that has much to do with your connection with your father. I'm sure that your father could have brought in some aspects of strength and some aspects of dealing with different types of situations that would have made them easier, like men do. Men process situations and they fix them and then they get out. And there's a power in that being a woman might be sort of overlooked without understanding why men do that. Why men do that is because we're geared towards taking care of things and fixing situations and really staying out of things where our emotions are concerned. I can understand that not having a father around would make you feel a little, in different situations with men, a little less adept at being able to handle what men are like. But I'm not entirely sure that you need to have that. I am pretty sure that what you need to do is find your own power. Find your power as a woman and make some decisions as to what it is that you want in a relationship. Because that's the second part of this thing, is how can I ease my fear of men? You can ease your fear of men by recognizing what it is that you want and making sure that that's what you get. Your fear of men is implying that men can do anything that they want to do simply because they're men. Well, they can if you let them. And if you have a direction, if you have a plan of what it is that you want in relationships concerning men and concerning anybody, that puts you in charge. So let's just take, for instance, that you're going to be dating some guy, and he's a little on the obnoxious side. Well, but there's other things about him that you like. You might find that in your power as being a woman and a potential partner in a relationship, that you might want to see and ask him, does he understand what it is that he's doing, and is there a reason that he's doing that, and what is he getting out of it? You might be able to say to him, listen, I'm not going to stick around with somebody that's obnoxious, and maybe you ought to take a look at the fact that this is the way you come off. Because if you find that there's value in me, you might want to consider doing that. And I don't think that that's a bad thing to say to somebody if there's a potential of a relationship there. If you're not entirely sure if there's a potential of a relationship and you're with somebody that is obnoxious, simply, say, excuse yourself and get the hell out of there. Because if you want a good relationship and someone's obnoxious, they're not going to give you the relationship that you want. So you have no responsibility, and you're not, what do you say? There's no reason for you not to leave and get what it is that you want. You have the power. So don't believe that you have to be afraid of men. What you have to do is you have to watch and see if you're going to get the things that you need, and if not, don't be afraid. Just leave, okay? So I hope that helps out a little bit here. Here's another one. I'm a father of 3-month-old twins. My wife is handling postpartum. He misspelled that, postpartum, like a champ. I try to help the best I can, but I feel like my wife's depression after our son's birth is pushing me away. How can I help during this time? Okay, that's sort of interesting. So let's do this again. I'm a father of 3-month-old twins. My wife is handling postpartum like a champ. I try to help the best I can, but I feel like my wife's depression after our son's birth is pushing me away. How can I help during this time? I think the thing to do is to focus on the partnership. I think the thing to do is to talk to her and talk with her away from the issue, is to recognize the differences and to recognize the depression and what she's going through and everything about the family, a whole dynamic about the family, and to be able to say to her, listen, this relationship is very important to me, and you are very important to me. So the way that this relationship is going and the interaction between us is not correct, and it's not paying off the way that we're doing things. So what I'd like to do with you is talk to you separately, talk to you outside of the relationship so we can analyze the connection between the two of us and be able to come up with a different way to handle these different situations. Now, as far as the kids are concerned, I'm trying to do as much as I possibly can in order to take some of the pressure off of you. And I want you to recognize that and see that that's actually what's happening, so that you feel like you have a partner here. I don't want you to miss out on anything, and I don't want you to feel that your depression is that you're doing this alone. You're going to have a tendency, and you're both going to have a tendency in being able to focus on the negative things and the disconnect. Those things are easy to see, they're easy to find. But being a partner and being a dad in this situation and being a man in this situation, it's going to be important for you to be able to balance out the good and the bad, so that you do recognize that she's doing well, that she's handling, she's just had a very traumatic situation happen to her. She's brought kids into this world, and that it is going to affect every area of her life, but you're there for her. And you're not trying to fix it, you're not trying to change anything. You know that will happen, but you know that it'll happen by being able to point out the positive parts about the relationship, the positive parts about loving her and caring for her, and the fact that you recognize that she's doing a tremendous job, and then occasionally she goes into a depression, and then that's okay. That it's fine. You understand, maybe you can't do anything about it, but you understand that she is in a depression, and that it won't always be like that. So you may not be able to fix it, or you're certainly probably not going to be right if you think that you know what she needs. So try not to know what she needs. Try to understand that you want to be able to set it up so she believes that you want to help her out for her and not for you. You want to be able to be there for her while she's going through these changes, because you want a healthy relationship, and you want her to know that you're there for her throughout the entire thing, and not just basically to shut her up so life is comfortable for you. That's going to take continuous talking about how much you love her, how much you care about the situation, how much you care for her, and that you're willing and that you want to be there. And if she needs something, that you may not be able to give it to her all the time, but you certainly want to. And when you tell somebody that you really want to be there for them, that's enough. As a matter of fact, telling somebody that you really want to be there for them and you don't know how is a very loving statement. To me, that says more than I love you, because I love you is just sort of like, it's nice. But if you say to her, we're going to get through this, if you say to her, honey, you just had kids, and we're going to be fine, and we're going to learn how to deal with all this kind of stuff, and I'm really in your corner, And I really want to be there for you, and I really want you to know and to be able to trust me when I say to you, I want a really good relationship, and I want it with you. That's going to help you out a whole hell of a lot, so I hope it does. Hang on a second. Let's see the next one here. She says, I can't ever trust guys for more than 6 months. I have the best honeymoon stages of relationships, but then right after 6 months, I start pushing the prospect away. Usually, I get kind of jealous and untrusting of men. My boyfriend says this is typical of daddy issues, but how can I get rid of them? That's interesting. All right, let's do that again, okay? I can't trust guys for more than 6 months. Of the best honeymoon stages of relationships, but then right after 6 months, I start to push prospects away. I'm starting to get this. I'm starting to hook up with this. Usually I get kind of jealous and untrusting of men. My boyfriend says this is typical of daddy issues. How can I get rid of them? I think what's happening here is not necessarily a daddy issue. You may have some problems with being connected to your father or something like that, and maybe that there was some distance there. And maybe that distance is what's showing you that you don't know how to be connected to somebody, and that's possible. That could be connected to that. Not entirely sure. After about a 6-month period of time, what happens with people is that you're right. The honeymoon session is over. The honeymoon thing is done, which means that anytime a situation happens between you, anytime an issue comes up between the two of you, you don't know what to do. It causes a lot of frustration and it causes a lot of fear. So what I would suggest that you do is recognize that you don't know how to handle those kinds of situations. Recognize that if you're with somebody in those situations, that the likelihood is neither one of you know how to handle an issue at the core of the relationship. So the core of the relationship is, are we connected? And if we are connected, then how do we as partners handle issues? So every one of those issues that is coming up after the 6-month period could be anything. It could be anything at all. And in this case, it sounds like other girls are involved. Like maybe he's looking at other girls, and you don't know how to deal with that. And he's saying that he's with you, but you don't trust it because you're not connected. So what you would want to do is say in every situation, let's just say that you go out to a restaurant. Now, if you go out to a restaurant and you see him looking at another girl, and guys are always going to do that, it's going to affect your feelings of security. So instead of coming home after the restaurant and saying, why did you look at the other girls? And I don't want you to look at other girls. And him saying, well, I'll never look at other girls and all that stuff. And then feeling like that actually did anything, and it didn't because he's always going to look at other girls. What you would want to do is before you go to the restaurant, make sure that you're connected. Make sure that you go to a restaurant as partners. Make sure that he recognizes that, if he looks at other girls, you're going to feel insecure. So what he wants to do is make sure that you don't feel insecure, because he's going to tell you that I really do care about you and I really do want a good relationship with you, and I want you to know that we're out together, and I care about you, and I want to have a healthy, positive relationship, and I want it to be with you. And when you do that, and you say back the same thing to them. So when you walk into the restaurant, the two of you are connected. When you feel connected and you feel secure about the fact that the person really does want to have a good relationship with you, and he looks at somebody else, It's not the same thing. It's not a big deal, because you could say, you could be a little scared about this in the beginning, and you could say, I thought we were connected, and he goes, absolutely we are. We are definitely connected. Looking at somebody does not mean that we're not connected. Me being even attracted, or you being attracted to another person, does not mean that we're not connected. It means that we're connected and we're humans. We're connected and things happen, mistakes happen, all kinds of stuff happens, but we're connected. Always we are connected first. I have a saying that I tell everybody: don't do anything in relationships to be connected. Be connected to do everything in relationships. So in a situation where you are in a restaurant, you're looking at somebody, don't try to find ways of fixing it afterwards. Find ways of fixing it beforehand. Find ways of connecting with each other and knowing each other's intentions. My intention is to be in a good relationship with you. That's my intention. My humanity, I'm going to notice other women. That they're two separate things. I'm connected with you and I'm attracted to other women. That's not a big deal. You find that if you really connected with this person and you learn to trust that the person wants to be in a good relationship with you and doesn't want to risk having a lousy relationship with you, but is able to talk to you about the fact that he's a guy and other girls are going to pass by. When you really recognize that the person does want to have a good relationship, you might find that you're going to be pointing out cute girls for him because he likes cute girls, but he loves you. Okay? So I hope that one helps out too. Well, thanks for listening. If you want to find out about a session with me, you can go to my webpage at innerpowerinsights.com, and there's information for you there. If you'd like to be a friend, a Facebook friend, you can go to Inner Power Insights on Facebook and check me out there. I honor my deepest connection to you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day and life.